Welcome back. So winter has finally arrived. We're going to cover just some real quick pointers on how to prep your bike for winter to make riding a little bit more pleasurable and also to protect your bike and your kit. So first thing I'm going to do is put a mud guard on the front. This is a gravel hugger, so it's just a one-piece plastic guard. It attaches with these little rubber bands. Super quick to put on. It keeps the water and moisture out of your face, but it also protects the your lower headset bearing, which in the winter time takes a real hammering. So really good. They do a rear one as well. It's not quite as cool looking as this, let's say, but it would keep your bum dry if that's important to you. Another little thing we do is I tend to lower my tire pressure slightly in the winter. Generally, you're not going as fast. You've had all summer to lean up and get really lightweight, as you can see, before you put those winter pounds on, so you don't need quite as much pressure, but it will give you more grip and more traction when things get a little bit maybe slippy. It's worth maybe lowering a couple of PSI. We'll show you that outside. Last thing is, you're still going to bring your spare parts with you, but it's better to try and put all your spare tube and CO2s and tire levers and stuff into a waterproof bag if you can, or keep it on your person. It just means that they're not getting covered in as much mud and you don't have to spend time worrying about cleaning out your multi-tool. So let's go outside and we'll fit this stuff onto the bike. Okay, so we got our CO2, our plugs. Like I said about the zip ties, it's real handy, fold it in half. Most cranks will have some sort of hollow, so you can just fire those in there. I've got a little bracket on my bike with a strap. It's really useful for putting the tubes on. So you can put tube, CO2 and the heads all together, and then we just strap that on to the bike. We've got our zip ties in there. They're not going to catch on your feet when you're pedaling. You can see in here we've actually got a spare power link for our chain in case we really get into trouble, so it's good. You can just kind of forget that it's there until you need it, and then we're going to strap this on. That's it. Now we're not having to worry about carrying the heavier parts on our jersey, so that means we can just put these little lightweight parts, the CO2 head and the plug, into the back of our jersey, and we're ready to go. So if you're riding maybe in the winter or going on a really long ride and you're worried about your tubes and spares getting wet or lost, you can get a little waterproof bag, so you fold it over and that seals it up. So you can put your tube and all of your accessories, everything goes in there, and then this also can attach onto the bracket, or you can run a bracket maybe underneath the down tube so it's out of the way. It's super easy to take it off when you want to wash the bike too. Tire pressure, one more thing. So like I said, in winter I generally try and go a little bit softer with my tire pressure, just a couple of PSI down. So normally I would run somewhere around 30 PSI on the front tire, maybe 34 on the back in the summer. So we'll drop that down to maybe 28 on the front and 30 on the back, just to give us a little bit more traction. So all you need is a pump and a pressure gauge, simple as this. So check it.
What is the pressure gauge?
These, you could get one of these for maybe a tenner, possibly. Not a lot of people maybe have a pressure gauge, but they're super useful. You can probably pick them up for less than £10, or you may be lucky to have one on your pump if you've got a track pump, but they're not always super accurate, so it's always better to kind of, for consistency's purposes, to have one like this. I'm just gonna loosen off. So again, this is a pressed valve, different to a Schrader you would see in your car. You need to be real careful of this little bit on the end. You have to unscrew it a couple of turns. You can see that's how you let the air out. Those things break and bend really easily, so just be super careful with them. We've got this set to PSI. Some Europeans measure in bar, but PSI is a bit more accurate. And then we literally just put it on the end, stop. So that's sitting at 27.3, so we probably want to go a little bit heavier than that on pressure. So we'll take it off. A couple of pumps to get it up above 30. That should do it, hopefully. It's beeped to tell us that it's settled, 32.5. Some gauges you've got to take it off and let the air out via the valve. This one has a little release valve, which is super handy. So we take it down to 30. Generally you've got to go past 30, yeah, by the time it settles. So it depends how accurate you want to be, but we're trying to, there we go. So 30 PSI, pull it off, tighten up the valve. So that's the back done. We'll do the front and we'll set it to maybe 28 or 27 psi. Generally we run a little bit less pressure in the front because most of your weight is biased towards the back, and you can, softer on the front is going to give you a little bit more grip where you're steering. As they say, steer from the rear. Heavier, more pressure in the back is going to make it more, I guess, slippy and slidey. So it's kind of worry about what the front wheel's doing and don't worry about the back. So that was a bit of wet weather prep from here in sunny Northern Ireland. If you look after the simple stuff and do that right, it just makes winter that little bit more enjoyable for riding when it's really mucky. So yeah, enjoy.